como that's why the second part, rational reason for the study, needs to be of at least 200 words, okay? Of at least 200 words. Okay, do you have any questions so far while writing a research proposal? Any other questions? No? Okay, moving on then. Now, now that we know how to build our research question, we are going to explore about the methodology of researching or reaching target respondents, as this module says. How are we selecting our methodology? Now, while we gather our information, we need to record our sources. Remember, that's very important. This means that in our individual report, we need to quote all the sites or the authors that made the articles that we were gathering data from. Because as you know, most of your work now, review, is going to be about secondary sources of information. Okay, you're not conducting any research right now because of the quarantine. So you're going to be gathering secondary data or secondary sources of information, which means that you need to keep a log or record all the sources that you are gathering information from. Okay, from the moment you begin, maybe even the start of your case study. Okay, as an advice, you should keep a Word document with all the titles of the web pages or the authors that you are gathering data from. Okay. Okay. In the appendix, remember, of the individual report, which we will revise in the future, you should detail the searches that you made during all your research or your individual report, and a list of all the main resources that have been used. Okay, remember that you have to record. This is what you need to record: the source and its full title, the author, publisher, and date printed, the date on which the information was collected or website access. This means that if you read one paper today, but the paper was written 5 years ago, that needs to be on the record, okay? The date printed or the date published, 2015, and I am reading this in 2020. Why is this important? Because some of the web pages change through time, okay? They modify the web page. So you need to specify that precisely. Okay, and the rest of any website search, this is obvious. Yeah, research has been compared to detective work. The first step is to learn about the situation by gathering background information. Next, you think about the questions that need to be answered and look at the evidence and interview people to find answers to those questions. Yeah, that's right. Because the conclusions that you will get are the conclusions of are the way you think about all the information that you have read. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, that data and information. Okay, what is primary research and what is secondary research? We have already studied that, but we're going to do it once again. This is first-hand information, primary research. Personal interviews, group or focus interviews, mail questionnaires, telephone interviews. Remember that primary states that you are the one collecting that primary data. For example, if you want to know how many people are in the school, you have two means of doing it: by counting on them or asking the teachers of each of the classrooms. And how that information will be of secondary research. Remember that secondary is about posted data or you read research of other people. If by secondary data you want to know the number of students in one school, you're not going to count them. you're going to the principal's office and ask for a list. And that's it. That's secondary data. As you can see, secondary data is easier as a source of information, but also has its flaws. Okay. For example, in primary data, you can know for sure that the aims of your research are being conducted by you. Okay. And in a secondary data, also it might be biased in some cases, as the writer or the researcher has its own perspective. Okay, so you need to take that into consideration while you research. For example, if you are researching about environmental issues or global warming, so some types of studies, you need to take into account the publisher, because in some cases that might be biased. Let's continue. Now, this is just a small quiz for us to do together. Okay, you're going to write the questions or the answers you think are necessary or are suitable for these questions that I'm going to ask. For example, we have stated what is primary research and secondary research, but surveys, where do you think they go? Primary research or secondary research?
Primary research.
Sure. Okay. Do not have an overflow on in the audio. Write the answer, please, if you know the answer. The surveys are primary or secondary research?
Primary.
Both.
Both? Okay, don't be misleading by the images. The images have nothing to do with it. Or sometimes, okay, I think particularly, I think this is wrong. Okay, yeah, we may say surveys are primary. Let's see. Okay, that's your opinion, by the way. Government reports. What do you think?
Secondary.
Secondary? Huh?
Secondary research.
Sure. Okay,
Yes.
secondary. Yeah, secondary. Let's see. Newspaper surveys.
Secondary. Secondary.
Okay, let's see. Questionnaires.
Primary.
Primary.
Okay. Focus group interviews.
Primary.
Okay. And commercial market research surveys.
Secondary.
Okay, let's see. Very good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Remember that surveys and questionnaires sometimes are similar, but the surveys are more personal. It's when you are going to interview another person. And the questionnaire is one piece of paper that you do, or an instrument of research that you build in order to gather data, or the data you require. For example, if you have an instrument which wants to estimate the average intelligence of the people you are interviewing, yeah, that's a good instrument, I might say, and that's a primary research, because you are the person who built the instrument and you're the person who is taking all the information into your statistical program. Okay, focus group interviews are more like, yeah, that's why I don't get the image here, because a focus group interview is something like that. Okay, it's in a big table where a group of people are surrounding it, and then you as a presenter, or you as the focus group leader, you're presenting an idea or a product to a specific group of, or to a various group of people in the room. And government reports such as statistics from INEI, from any ministry department, newspaper surveys, of course, those kinds are secondary research, because you are not part of the government or newspapers as of now. Okay, and commercial market research surveys are also published by some companies to help other companies access the information of the users or the buyers. Okay. Just